Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new webcast today. We're going to be talking about the new CA Identity Suite. My name is Kristen Palazzolo. I'm your community manager. Today you'll be hearing from Hila and Ehud. They will be presenting on this new release, and we'll be going through a slide presentation as well as a demo. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A window or the chat window, or you can hold your questions to the end and we will allow you to unmute your line to ask a question over the phone. So thank you for joining us today, and I'm going to pass it over to them now.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, for joining first, and happy holidays for everyone, and I appreciate you joining the call just before most of us taking vacations and things like that. We wanted to talk to you today about the new release of Identity Suite, Release 14, and the capabilities there. So Release 14 is a major release for us. It includes many different levels of enhancements and new capabilities. Today we will zoom in on three main topics that we think are the most significant in the release. And you'll see that for each one of them we'll try to review the item and then augment that with a live demo, if possible, of each one of these. So we will talk about the virtual appliance. This release comes with basically a new platform for operating the Identity Suite. It's more than just virtual machine that we provide. It's a complete platform for operation. The second item is Deployment Express. Deployment Express, you can think about that as a marketplace or a catalog of use cases predefined by CA, very rapid deployment of the use cases. Together, these two items, the virtual appliance from operational perspective and the Deployment Express from use case deployment, working very well together and really streamlining the process of deploying Identity Suite, and really, we feel, transforming the approach in doing all of that. And the last topic that we will actually start with that will be the PAM integration. So really integration between CA Identity Suite and CA Privileged Access Management, delivering what we feel as a differentiated governance for privileged access that we think that the market is a little bit lacking today. Okay. So we'll start with the privileged governance. So Privileged access management has been a top concern for many organizations in the last few years. We have seen a tremendous focus on this area, a tremendous amount of customers implementing privileged access management solutions. CA has a very strong privileged access management solution in the market that we have been very successful in deploying for customers. What we heard from our customers is that kind of need for better governance for privileged access. And that's something that is true for the entire market. In many organizations, you have deployment of privileged access management separate from the deployment of identity management or identity governance. So we want to bring these two worlds together. We want to break the silos between how you govern privileged access and how you govern regular access. We think that this view of holistic access for governance is critical. Thinking about risk from that perspective of what you can do with regular access, what can you do with privileged access, and looking at the whole picture together. We also feel that there are things that could be done in terms of improving the governance just for privileged access management. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So this is also mapped to a recurring theme for us, which is really the one-stop shop, really bringing together multiple of IAM solutions and delivering better value to our customers when they're using multiple of our solutions. And this is a good example of this additional value in reality. So what, beyond the big words around privilege access governance, what is that, right? What is included there? So we focus on three aspects. Not a big surprise there. We focus on automation of provisioning and especially deprovisioning of privilege access management and tying the regular business processes that you have, let's say, employee onboarding or employee termination, and continuing that process into the privilege access management world. So automating these processes, especially the deprovisioning aspect of that. The second item is around access request and making sure that we provide strong access requests for privilege access with all of the features that we come used to in terms of the identity management space. All right, so having approval, having risk, having segregation of duties, having all of these items available for you for privilege access requests. And the last but not least is access certification. Regular reviews of the privilege access the same way that you do for other access. And for each one of these items you'll see in the demo, there are specifics that are implemented in the solution that are specific for PAM, but also taking advantage of the strong capabilities of Identity Suite overall. So with that quick introduction, let's switch to a demo. Let's see that in action.
All right. So let's take a look at our environment over here. This is our Identity Suite for Release 14. And I'm logged in right now as a manager in this environment. Let me just refresh and make sure that my session isn't lost. Yep, I lost my session. Let me log back in. Okay. Going into access request over here in user search, I'm going to search for one of the users, which I've provisioned to our PAM solution already using the automated provisioning over here. And this is this user over here. And I'm also going to log in. I should be logged in over here. Let me refresh here and see if the session is still alive. Yep, session is still good. I'm logged in over here as that same user. And we're looking at the access that this user has, which is currently no access because it's a relatively fresh account. So if we go into the actual user and look at him, we're going to see that, as you can see over here, I gave him the base user access for Privileged Access Manager. And if I go into applications over here, I would like to add a few more privileged access over here. I've got a Windows server over here available for me. I'm going to click on the plus, and it's added to the cart over here. As you can see, it calculated a risk as I added this permission. I'm going to click over here and see the risks that was generated. The risk says that this contractor shouldn't have privileged access. The reason is I configured a risk over here, and this is really the beauty of the merge of those two systems. We can leverage the risk scoring, risk violation engine that we have in the Identity Suite in order to generate conflicts between who this identity is, or maybe other permissions that the user has that are not related to privileged access, and we can generate conflicts or violations between that and the attempt to acquire privileged access over here. So this request has generated a risk for me of 200, but I'm not preventing this from continuing. We can continue this request. I'm also going to request for Unix server access over here. Let's see if there's any additional violations. It actually keeps it the same because whatever privileged access I have, and that's just how I configured my risk, it's generating a violation because this user, Hila, is a contractor. So let me check out and submit this request. Now this is going through the same normal process as you do in Identity Suite, an access request. It's triggering the task in Identity Manager, but the end result of this is an actual connector to PAM. So this is actually going to provision the required access into PAM. Okay, now I could leverage the system also to get an approval process and also work this through a request tracking system and have someone approve it and so on. But I didn't do that just for the demo purposes, so it's quick. I'm refreshing over here my PAM access. It should take, oh, here we go, that was quick. It usually takes a few seconds for the provisioning process to complete. It completed over here already, and now we see the two added devices, the Windows server and the Unix server. You see that the name is different, and that's because we can actually control the name. That's, once again, the beauty of using Identity Suite. Over there, we've got the Business Dictionary. So you can really call the name of the permission however you want in a name that makes sense to the user. At the end of the day, it's provisioned this access over here. Same way I can remove access, deprovision the access of the user. Let's take a look now at certification campaigns. So we've got a campaign over here that is pending for me. There's actually two campaigns for PAM from a user privileges review and also device privileges review. So there's two campaigns that we've generated over here on privileged access. Let's take a look at this one. Really, in the standard view that we have for any other certification campaign that you'd like to have, only we're viewing here PAM data. But we've got a deeper view of the PAM access. It's not just the role resource standard view that we have. We actually have a deep view over here of the various items that we can certify or that we can give access to in PAM. So we've got devices, user groups, PAM roles, users. We're looking at all of that information. We can hover and get more information, and then we can do the standard activities that we have in our certification campaigns, and that's approve, reject, reassign. We've got a progress over here, progress bar to track our progress, and we can even do this from our mobile application. All right, so that was our PAM demo. Going back over here, back to you, Ehud.
Okay, cool. So just to summarize again what we have seen in terms of the PAM integration, right? So hopefully you saw a little bit of the value that this integration is bringing to market, and also saw a little bit of the unique value that CA is providing. So yes, we are doing the access request, access certification, automated provisioning, automated deprovisioning, but really we do that in a little bit different way in terms of deep integration, granular integration, managing multiple of the different objects that exist in the PAM universe, and not just the trivial user creation and kind of lightweight integration, because we feel that this is a significant system that requires that additional attention. So that's kind of the differentiation for us, that granular and deep integration between the two products. So switching to the virtual appliance. The virtual appliance, as I said earlier, is part of our bigger initiative to streamline the deployment process and really transforming the deployment process. So the virtual appliance is basically a virtual machine that CA is providing. You go to the CA support site, and now you have a virtual machine available for you, an OVA file, basically a single file that is the virtual machine. But it's really a platform that goes beyond just providing a virtual machine. So obviously we are eliminating all the steps that traditionally you do when you open the box, right? You no longer need to install the software. You no longer need to integrate the components of the system. You no longer need to have high availability configured manually. All of these items are streamlined in and baked into the platform, allowing you very, very quick deployment. So we will show you today a deployment of the virtual appliance in real life. It takes something like 10 minutes. We will choose a demo setup today, but it really allows you to streamline the deployment for production-grade deployment in the same speed almost, right? So within minutes, you can deploy very simple deployment all in one kind of demo environment, but you can also set up high availability, highly distributed component of the solution at the same time. So, back to you. Let's see some of the demo for the virtual appliance.
Thank you. So as Ehud was talking, I was kind of showing you how the screens look like, but I am going to back up a little bit and just explain a little bit about the virtual appliance from a technical perspective, how I set everything up. So I'm actually working now on my laptop, on my own machine over here, and I've downloaded from our support site as if I were to download the regular installation, but instead of that, I just downloaded one file, one OVA file, which is basically a prepackaged file, a virtual machine file, prepackaged with all of the components in it. So you no longer need the different installation files and the different, between the different operating systems and so on. There's one file for everything. So I downloaded that and I extracted it here on my VMware on my local machine. You can do that on an ESX, on whatever the customer has. And then over here now, after I extracted it, I'm starting it up. I give it an IP address, I give it a host name, and that's it. Basically, that's where I stop. Then it directs me to come to the application, which is what you're seeing right now. So I basically went over here and I logged in. I went to the IP address that I gave my machine, all right? And then over here it asks me what type of configuration would you like to deploy. Are you doing a demo environment now, something completely custom, non-production, production? And for each one of those, you're going to get recommendations for us on how you want to deploy this environment. I'm going to select the demo environment at the moment, and the demo environment gives me, on that one server that I selected, all of the components, basically to do an all-in-one. But I can still do a pick and choose over here, and if I want just to drag and drop, grab this one, for example, the identity governance, I can drag the component and then clear it over here, and now I'm going to do the deployment without identity governance. Or I can take that same OVA file and extract it once again to another virtual machine, start it up, give it another IP address, another host name, and then over here click on Add Machine, put the IP address, click on Add, and then I'll have, excuse me, and then I'll have another box over here which I can drag and drop components to it. And what this gives me is the ability to have a high availability load balance configuration without doing any settings on my own. So the same way I'm deploying this one machine, okay, let me just click on deploy if you don't mind to get this started, and then I'm going to continue talking over it, okay, because this deployment is going to take about 10 minutes and we want to try to get to a point that it completes. I do apologize, my laptop is acting up in the last hour, so it might take a little bit longer than 10 minutes. Let's hope it does complete in time. But what I wanted to say is that the same way I just put all the components and I clicked on deploy, I could now, after this is done, add another machine. Let's say I decide tomorrow that I want this to be a high availability environment, so I'm going to add another machine, drag and drop the components over there, and then click on deploy. And after it's done, part of its deployment is going to be to generate that high availability load balanced environment for me. It's going to replicate all the components between those two machines. So I can very easily set up really a production grade environment with all of my components, and if I were to do this for another server, then it's going to take just a few more minutes. So if this takes 10 minutes, it's going to take like 15 minutes, and then I'm going to have a production environment ready to go. What it means ready to go, so we'll get to that as we finish this, this section of the virtual appliance. And you'll be able to see how it looks like when the virtual appliance deployment has completed. So let's go back to our presentation and back to Ehud.
Okay, thanks. So again, just to summarize a little bit what we have seen. So we've seen the deployment of the Identity Suite in a virtual appliance. Some of the magic components that Hilar just demonstrated. So easy to set up additional machine, so easy to set up high availability. You just drag and drop items and we take care of all of the configuration behind the scene and setup of the application servers and the routing of the network and all of that. I also want to highlight that building the virtual appliance also kind of brought together a lot of the best practices that CA accumulated over the years with many high-scale deployments. So all of that is baked. All of that kind of knowledge is baked into the virtual appliance, and you have there a very opinionated platform from that perspective, a platform that not just set up the components, but also set up the components based on best practices. Our choices of how to set up the application server, our choice of the application server itself, our choice of how much memory, how many threads you want to set up there, the network setup, the choices around the high availability, and so forth. So you get the benefit of all of that knowledge baked into the platform. And as I said, this is an opinionated platform, right? We made a lot of decisions based on what we know as things that generally work very well. And so moving to the virtual appliance requires an alignment. It requires to adhere to these kind of decisions that we made. So, for example, as I said, we made a decision about the application server. You will need to use the application server that comes with the virtual appliance and so forth. But when you do that, you get into this place where the time to value of setting up the system is dramatically reduced, but also the total cost of ownership throughout the process of the life cycle of Identity Suite is dramatically reduced. So there are the obvious items of just the technical time that usually take in terms of labor time to install the product and configure the product and all of that. We take care of that, and that's basically eliminated. There is also attention here on how to deploy patches and upgrades in a very streamlined way, again saving a lot of time in the life cycle of maintaining the solution. There are built-in capabilities around monitoring, about collecting logs in a centralized way, about adding capacity, adding more services and more servers as you need them, but also on reducing capacity when you no longer need it. Think about that. Now you have a much more elastic deployment that you can add more capacity when you need it, but also remove capacity when you no longer need it. And finally, there are savings around the costs of licenses. With a virtual appliance, you get support from CA for all of the components that are included in the virtual appliance, which includes an operating system, application server, CA directory inside, and so forth. So you get, when you look at the total savings that you get with the virtual appliance, I want you to think, of course, on the first step of the time to value and how rapid you can get up and running, but also on the entire life cycle and the savings in terms of the total cost of ownership throughout the life of the project in your organization. We are also going to use that heavily in terms of experimentation, right? When we want to introduce a new capability to a customer, they can take the virtual appliance, set it up in minutes, as we said, and start to experiment with a new release immediately. And that will allow us in the future to have more of this kind of validation that we can do with you and partner with you in terms of future releases as well. So this is dramatic. This is really cool and exciting, and hopefully you have a sense of that at this stage. Okay.
Right. So we actually want to present to you a cute video we prepared for introducing the virtual appliance. It's available online. It's actually on YouTube. So let's take a look. Loading it on purpose from YouTube. It's taken a few seconds to load. That's probably because my virtual machine is actually working hard at the moment. Give it another moment, and if it's not running, here we go.
Okay, very cool. So again, this is available in YouTube. You can find that and see that for yourself. The sound here wasn't working really perfect, but I'm sure that you'll enjoy that later on. Okay. So at this point, we saw how the virtual appliance kind of taking us to the point where we have a deployment of the services available in minutes. Now, Hilar will take us to the next step and showing us how to take that from that point to a full business use cases deployed.
All right. So now we've got a solution that is deployed. All the components are ready. They're integrated between them. They know how to talk to each other. Everything is ready to go, and we can start building our use cases. We can start basically building the solution that is relevant to the customer, to the specific customer, which means we need to start configuring use cases. Okay, part of that, part of building something that is specific to a customer is building use cases. And what we've done to make that process easier is to build something called Deployment Express. And Deployment Express is basically a marketplace. It's an easy navigation marketplace where you can come in as administrators and browse through use cases or business processes or scenarios, however you want to call them. And you browse through them, you find the one that is most relevant for you, and you just go through a couple of clicks wizard to deploy that use case. And then what we do is we deploy the use case for you fully with everything, with all the back-end components it requires. And we're going to talk about those in a minute. I usually like to clarify what I mean when I talk about all those back-end components. Important note, though, over here, all those use cases, part of the benefits that you gain out of this is not just the ability to deploy use cases very fast. You get best practices from us because the use cases are built, designed, developed by our people from the field, so by our services, by our pre-sales, people that are out there and are doing projects for customers and are deploying use cases all the time. So they are familiar with the use cases that the customers require, and also they know how to build it in the right way, the best or appropriate way for our Identity Suite solutions. So we're really reducing or improving our time to value by reducing the deployment time, and you get the benefit of getting best practices from us, which improves the supportability of the solution that you deploy because we are familiar now. Both from a virtual appliance perspective, we are familiar with the environment that you have, and from a use cases perspective, we are familiar with the deployment that you have. So let's talk a little bit about what is a use case before I go into a demo of showing the Deployment Express. So use cases are constructed from various elements. They've got workflows, notifications, business logic, forms, various kinds of items that you need to configure in order to build a workflow. Now, for each one of those items, there's different ways that you can configure them. I mean, one use case, something like a create contractor, could be different between one customer to another. The core is the same, and that's why we can offer this solution, because the core is the same. But we offer different variations on those use cases. For example, approval workflow. Do you want to have an approval workflow? Is it one step, two step, legal, manager? Do you want to have notifications? Does it go to the manager? Does it go to the user? What do you email in that notification? Do you want to have escalations? Who is allowed to perform these actions? So onboarding contractors, is it something admins do? Is it something managers do? Is it something everybody does? What type of form does it have? What type of business logic do you build around it? Do you schedule it, or is it something manual that is done by someone? Do you want to have risks around it? All of those things are elements, and they're different variations as what forms the different types of use cases. So if you take each one of those components, all of those elements that we built, that for us is a use case, and that is the different variations of a use case. So create contractor by manager, or create contractor by feed, from a feed. Terminate contractor on end date, or automatically, or terminate contractor by a manager, and so on. Each one of those are use cases and their variations of use cases, and now they are exposed to you in this friendly interface, which is the Deployment Express. So now, fingers crossed, if my laptop didn't act up on me, as I said, Virtual Appliance should have completed the deployment, and yes, it did. It only took 1 minute longer than usual. Usually takes about 10 minutes on my machine. I don't know if you noticed in the video that I showed for the Virtual Appliance, we show over there 7 minutes deployment. This is not a mock-up. It actually took 7 minutes when we deployed it on another laptop that has SSD. So over there, it took 7 minutes. For me, on my laptop, it usually takes around 10, 11 minutes in this scenario. So we should have a working environment at this stage. First of all, I want to introduce you to the dashboard of Virtual Appliance. Over here, you can see that management console that Ehud talked about as well. I can see each one of the services, if they're running or not. I can get more information about it. And I've got links to start up the management consoles for each one of them. So for example, the portal, let's see what we get when we complete Virtual Appliance deployment. So we can log in straight away into our environment. The IAM admin is the only user in the environment at the moment, because we just started a clean one. And you get a clean environment, a clean working environment. You can log in to that one, and you can log into the management console as well, all right? And you can start building your use cases, okay? So up until now, you had to build everything from scratch. Now you don't have to. You can go to the Deployment Express Marketplace over here, okay? And you see, and you can browse through the list of use cases that are available to you. You see them over here. You see the use case templates. You've got a video for some of them, a screenshot for others, or maybe nothing if this is a scenario which is happening from a feed. So maybe there's no interesting screenshot to show over here because this is completely back-end. You can compare use cases between them, and you can start browsing and filtering. For example, if you're looking to deploy any contractor use case, it's showing you the different ones you've got for contractors. You can continue filtering by the action. For example, I want to do a create contractor. I'm left with 2 at the moment. But guys, this is the list of use cases is going to continue to grow. What you see over here is something that we just released with this release, but the use cases are actually detached from our release process. So every few days or every week, you can download and update this repository of use cases with more use cases. So this is going to continue growing with every week that goes by. So now we're looking at our create contractor use cases, and I'm going to do a create contractor by manager. So I'll click on deploy over here. It's going to take me through this wizard of deploying a use case. First, it asks me, where do I want to place this use case? So which module? And it's recommending one, so it's recommending the team management. I don't have any existing modules because this is a clean environment, so I'm just going to select this and continue. Next, it's going to show me the details, the elements. Remember, I showed you those little cubes, boxes falling from the sky? That's those elements that it's going to configure in the back end. So clicking on next, I'm going to let it configure all the elements that it requires. Next, it shows me the workflows. Now, workflows, I can deploy from this marketplace as well. So I haven't deployed any workflows because I'm starting from scratch, but if I were to deploy workflows, then I'd see a list over here also. Manager approval, two-step manager and legal approval, and so on, the various types of workflows that we can offer for you from this marketplace. And also, of course, you can build your own workflows as well. Clicking on next over here, and I'm going to get to the finish line, click on deploy, and it's going to, first of all, deploy my use cases, and this is going to push all of those elements that we talked about into our environment. Then when it's done, it's going to create the new model and then link it to the use case. Now that it's done, it's asking me if I want to restart my connector. Let's confirm and do that. It's going to restart the connectors that I have, which is basically just one connector. It's going to take a few seconds. Done, completed. I'm going over here and I'm going to click on refresh, expecting to see the new module of team management. But I'm actually not going to see it. The reason is one of the elements that we configure is who is allowed to perform this action, okay? So when it's a team management, what we've configured is that managers can do that. Managers can do that by default, but of course you can change it. My user that I'm logged in with right now is in the IAM admin. It's the admin of the system, so he's not a manager. So what I'll do is I'll go into the admin UI, give you a quick sneak peek into the admin UI as well, which was changed and completely redone to make it very easy to manage your environment now. And what you see is the modules. So I'm going to go into the team management module, which was just added due to my Deployment Express deployment. And over here in the profiles, I see that it's linked to the manager's profile, okay? So what I'm going to do just for the demo purposes is also expose this to everyone. Click on Save, so that it's going to be exposed to the IAM admin. Let me refresh the screen, and now team management is available to me. I'll click on that. It allows me to search for the users that I have or create new. The specific use case that we've deployed is a create new contractor, okay? So it's going to be available over here, create contractor, and this is basically the form of the use case that we just deployed. I'm not saying this is the use case because there's a lot more to it. This is just the form. There's also a lot of things in the back end that was deployed, okay? Workflow, if I were to select one, the business logic that generates the user ID, that generates the password, that controls the duration over here of the contract of this user. All of those things have been deployed along with this use case, and this is just the visual part of it. So this way I can go back. You saw it took me like a couple of minutes. I can go back over here to the marketplace, and I can continue deploying an employee create use case by HR or from a feed, or I can do a customer user, which is a consumer scenario basically. So consumer self-registration, I can click on deploy that one. And then this way, basically in minutes for each one of them, I can deploy a full solution over here available to me to actually start using, working, and exposing to my end users. All right, let's go back over here. We've got a quick video for our Deployment Express as well. Let's hope this plays. Here we go. All right, so that was our Deployment Express video. So basically, as you can see, with everything we've showed you today, with the new Identity Suite, you've got a full deployment of basically a production-ready environment. Of course, you're going to possibly have to do some little bit more tweaks and configurations over there that are relevant for you specifically. But overall, you've got everything ready to go. Very fast, very easy to do. You deploy it in just a few clicks. You've seen how we did it over here in this demo we've done. It's 40 minutes since we started. We got to talk about privileged access, and we got to deploy a full solution in those 40 minutes, and in a joyful, very fun experience method for deployment. I think that is it for us now. Ehud, if you have anything else to add, and if not, we can switch to Q&A.
No, so this is obviously awesome. You know, the demos I hope are talking more than any words that we can say. The only thing to add is really the call for action for you guys. Looking at that, saying that, you know, try the virtual appliance, try the Deployment Express, try the new UI for administration that Hilar demonstrated. You can experiment with that today. Just go to the supportca.com and get started. Okay, so
I see one question in the chat.
Sorry.
Ehud, I don't know if you've seen it, around what is the OS in the appliance?
No, I haven't seen that. Sure. So the virtual appliance comes with an operating system that we provide. It's a Linux-based operating system. Right now, in the virtual appliance that we demonstrated, CentOS is the actual operating system. We're also working, now I'm kind of talking a little bit about future looking, we're also working on optimized virtual appliance for the Amazon AWS environment. And in that environment, we will use the Amazon Linux flavor. So it's kind of, it will be Linux environment, but it will be optimized to the environment of the hosting that we will be using. Okay.
As more questions come in through the Q&A window, feel free to take the poll and rate today's webcast. There's another question in there from Elizabeth asking, once the use case is created, do you also automate the QA testing?
Okay. Hilar, is that something that you want to take? Definitely a topic that we talked about very recently.
That's okay. You can take that.
Oh, okay. So that is indeed one of the benefits of what we see as possible now, right? Because once customers are starting to use more repeatable use cases that are coming from the catalog or from the marketplace, we can also streamline these processes. Not just that we do the automation ourselves internally for our QA processes to validate the use cases and make sure that there are no regressions. You can do the same. And we are debating on exactly how to formalize something like that in the future release. It's not available right now, but that's definitely a direction that we are looking for.
Another question was, can you add use cases that are unique to the client?
Yeah, I can take that one. So today the environment is not yet exposed to other people to share things in there. There's such in situations like working with our partners that we are going to help them build their own repository of use cases. But what you are talking about is definitely something that we're looking at our roadmap to turn the Deployment Express, to turn the marketplace into a community in which you can do things such as build and share your use cases or review use cases and so on. So just to also clarify, because I could take this the question to a couple of directions. So this is one direction that I want to respond to, but the other one is you can definitely, just to make sure that it's clear, when you deploy a use case, you deploy a use case template that we offer, you can change it and customize it to be your own use case. You don't have to use it the same way that we provided it, okay? You just, today, you can't share your customized use case with, to be part of this repository. But once you deploy a use case, it's your own and you can do whatever you want with it. You can continue working on the use case, you can modify, you can add to it, and that's definitely available to you, and that's fine. And it will be available to you to migrate between environments. So after you deployed a use case, for example, in your dev environment and you made changes to it, you have the tool to export that use case and to migrate it to your next environment, to your QA, and to your production.
Another question came in. Do we have any step-by-step documentation for installation configuration and PAM integration-specific configurations? If yes, where can we find that?
Okay. So all of that is already GA, right? It's available as part of Release 14, and the documentation for the release includes most of these components. So setting up, the normal installers are still available, and they are documented there in the wiki.ca.com. But also there is a separate documentation for the virtual appliance, and it goes through the setup steps that we just demonstrated here. It's not a lot more complex than what we just showed, so you can see that. And then for the PAM integration, there is a separate guide that is a connector guide. And if you go to the connector space, you will see the documentation there, and it will go through the process of setting it up and all of that. So both of them are described in the wiki already. Okay.
Not just them, just to add to that, because Ehudi said most of this is in the documentation. All of this is in the documentation. So the virtual appliance installation, the PAM, and the Deployment Express as well. If we look at Deployment Express and the use cases, the documentation that explains how to use Deployment Express, that's available as part of our, of course, online documentation. The documentation per use case, the specific use case documentation, is within the marketplace. It's part of the repository of use cases. So if you want to understand and learn about each one of the use cases, then you have that within the marketplace. You just click on that screen that I showed you where you see the use cases. If you click on more details for each use case, you'll be able to download the document for it, which takes you, it's a walkthrough of the use case and explains all of the components and the elements within it. So, Kristen, I think there's a question there actually for you that I'm seeing, if this was recorded and can it be shared? So
yeah, I just responded. We'll be sending a follow-up email later today with a link to the slides and replay, which will be posted to the new identity management community. Make sure you follow the new identity management community as well. Last weekend we broke the security space out into 4 new subspaces. So in order to receive updates from the identity management community, you will need to go in and click that follow button. But you will receive an email today for attending this webcast. All right. All right, I don't see any other questions at this time. If you think of any, feel free to respond to the follow-up email that I'm going to be sending out later today, and I'll make sure those questions get to Ehud and Hila so they can answer, and you can also post them in the community as well if you'd like. So I want to thank you guys for your time today. I hope everyone has a happy holiday season and a happy new year, and we'll see you at the next webcast. Thank you, everyone.